Welcome to Las Vegas and the Weber Cup. The USA are in a fantastic position. Let's take a look at the action so far from day 4. The European pairing of Oscar Palermo and Stuart Williams took a much-needed victory over their American counterparts. Troup continued his rich vein of form, dispatching Stuart Williams in some style, taking the USA into a commanding 15-10 lead. The Europeans needed a spark, and it was Barrett and Svensson who provided it, beating the impressive double act of Simonsen and Butterf, and with it giving the men from across the pond a glimmer of hope in this year's tournament. Confirmation of the scores so far from day 4. 2-1 to the men in yellow in this session. Can they build on this success? Let's find out as we meet the players for our next match. In the box for you for this match, Tim Mack and Guy Kaminsky. But first, Jesse May.
Does USA have the shield? I mean, Captain Chris Barnes, Tim, he's been so great this Weber Cup. He's encouraged, he's counseled, but sometimes you just have to handle your business, and that's what Barnes is going to have to do right now.
Listen, he's going to, based on the doubles match, you're 100% right, Jesse, but he's going to have his hands full with Oscar. Oscar looked really, really good on this pattern in the doubles. Can he continue that into the singles? Good first shot, ring 10. That's the ring 10 we've seen so many times this week from so many different players.
And what happens sometimes is we just had the lane re-oiled. And after each re-oil, we can see the back can get a little bit tighter. And urethane sometimes doesn't carry quite as good, as it did in the first session.
That's right. That's right. That's 100% right. It just doesn't read. It doesn't go through the pins the same way. So Oscar did tell me that he's got a couple other ball choices down there and that he feels very comfortable with 2 to 3 different balls other than just this urethane, which is a good sign for him.
That may be a little too close for comfort, but Oscar looks better than we've seen him during this entire Weber Cup. He looks relaxed, he looks focused, and it's amazing that USA's got a 4-point lead, but the pressure is squarely on them. I mean, what's going through Chris Barnes' head right now?
He looks pretty loose actually right now, which is good, and I think internally his mind is always going. There you go. He's Captain America. So he's loose, no doubt. But I can tell you, if Oscar puts a couple strikes up.
Timmy, I've never seen him this relaxed on a show ever. Is this something you think he's been working on to try and just keep himself calm?
I tell you what I do think. I think as he's gotten older, I think he embraces these moments more.
Gary.
Just being on the television shows and being in the moment. And I think he's embracing it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's such a great point, Tim. I mean, this is a guy who's basically done everything you can do in his career right now.
Absolutely.
But now he realizes how special this still is.
Yes, and how meaningful it is. Listen, the Weber Cup is very meaningful to me. I've been fortunate enough to be teammates with Chris Barnes in this event, and we've both been obviously long-standing captains, and I think it means a great deal to him the fact that he's the captain here and it's in our home soil, and he's embracing that moment.
I mean, I think you were saying it yesterday, Guy, which is that, obviously the USA's had a lot of teams, a lot of experience. This is the first year when the younger generation is really on Team USA, and Chris Barnes, I mean, it's like he's shepherding this young generation into the next phase of the Weber Cup and bowling.
That's exactly right, and he is extremely honored. He's passing on the information, passing on the baton to the next generation 100%. As the biggest compliment that he can ever get, that he's been entrusted with that role.
Yes, and actually in the crowd today is a Weber Cup veteran, Tommy Jones. And Tommy Jones and Chris Barnes were stalwarts on this USA team for so many years. And it's time. You got to pass the buck to the younger kids. Great shot, Oscar Palermo.
And that's the thing. We know how we obviously have the PBA player picks themselves at the top European, top American that come through, but then the captain picks the other two. I mean, Chris and Tommy are roommates on tour. They've been friends for as long as time. Must have been a huge call and a credit to him that he realized that the team had to transition. It had to change. He needs to bring the youth in, and to ex Tommy was a big call because he's a great player.
It's tough on that spot, but sometimes you got to make those tough decisions. And as the captain, Chris has been great at making those tough decisions.
And he has had a good week of bowling, too. I mean, he has been the equal of everyone on Team USA here. He has stood up and stepped up when he's needed.
I'll tell you what, Jesse, but I do believe, as the previous days, the guys know they have their hands full today with Osku. Osku looks more like we expected Osku to look. And it's certainly not too late. They're only down 4 points. So if Osku can find a way to continue to make the great shots that he's made so far today and get some more momentum in this match, they know they have their hands full. There's not going to be any gimmies where they thought maybe they had the upper hand in previous matches.
And the two-handed style, if they start striking.
Is the messenger coming?
Oh, it's there!
Oh, it doesn't get there.
Rolling on the river.
Yeah, they can throw bunches of strikes in a row. So that also plays in your mind when you're playing against them. You start to see them hitting the pocket more and strikes are happening. You put yourself under more pressure than you really need to.
Yeah, clearly Osku's got more power than Chris, but Chris has got a lot more savvy and can do a lot more tricks and do a lot more things than Osku can do with the bowling ball. So it's power versus experience.
Close that one off solidly. And, this Team Europe, I mean, all week we've been kind of looking at them and saying, I don't know who should step up. There's so many weak spots. Right now, you kind of feel like whoever Team Europe throws in is going to put up a good performance. I feel like they're both, or everyone on that team is bowling as well as they've bowled all week.
Clearly, Jesse, this is the best they've been. This is the team that we expected to see from the get-go, from the start. And it's not too late. For sure. I can tell you right now, it's not too late.
It's not too late, but I think Dominic would renegotiate to make it, best of 65 instead of 35 if he could.
Man, Chris has been special on this longer pattern. He's been really, really rock solid.
And I always feel it's tough for us to be critical. The only comment I have about Osku, and he is a world-class player, but maybe the reason why he hasn't made that fractional step up into the elite circle is because what he's doing right now, he can't soften this. He wants to overthrow it all the time, because all I feel he needs to do is just stay within it, stay with it a little bit longer, and not overthrow this ball. And it takes out the ring 10.
He could take a page from Kyle Troup, because Kyle Troup was very similar like this coming out of the get-go. Great shot from Osku, where Kyle was really firm and aggressive up the lane, and then learned to just get better touch and feel over time. And that's what's made Kyle much more dynamic in the last couple of years. But it's hard to change when you've had so much success doing it a certain way.
I'm not asking him to change. I'm asking him just to have a fraction of an adjustment.
Sure.
If you like to throw it hard, that's fine. Have one setting that you can dial it down by one. I just felt he hasn't developed that. He always wants to either throw it hard. He can throw it hard, harder, and hardest. He hasn't got the dial down.
Yeah, understood.
2 strikes in a row for Barnes. A strike here to retain a 10-pin advantage, which is exactly what he wants to do. Yes, I mean, he's infallible. You think this guy, you want this guy as your captain in any sport. I don't care what.
He's leading by so many different ways this week, Jesse. He's leading by example. He's leading with his leadership in his communication, in his knowledge on the lanes. I mean, he's just been phenomenal in every facet. He's exactly what you would expect from Chris Barnes.
I mean, this should be the lane pattern. These 2 long ones are the patterns that should really not suit him. He's looked completely at home on these 2 long patterns.
I would argue he's in the top of the top players on the longer patterns right now.
He's looked it, hasn't he? He's just looked it.
Great shot, Osku. He's not going anywhere. I can tell you. This is, if you watch how he's finishing his shots today, as we saw in previous days, the shot repetition, the arm swing, and the fluidity in his arm is much more consistent in each shot. And we didn't see that in previous days because he's trying to shape the ball to do too many different things, but he's committed in what he wants to do, and he knows exactly the game plan to do it, and he's making the shots.
But isn't that the ironic thing? When you get into a lane pattern that suits you, you actually bowl better when, you know, that you get looser, you feel more comfortable. It's easier to execute when you actually need to execute on patterns that are harder for you.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural psychology. This is a guy, though, who seems to adjust no matter what's needed, and he is grooving.
Guys, I want to talk about the high quality of bowling that we're seeing from both teams right now. This is the best of the best that we've seen. This is top 8 players in the world, and that's why they're here. But the quality of bowling and the quality of shot making that we're seeing from both teams, from every single player, is the best of the best. You just can't ask for anything better than this.
Welcome back to Las Vegas and Weber Cup 20. Commentary from Guy Kaminsky, Tim Mack and Jesse May.
How much is Osku helping Chris here? Because we've seen Chris going around the line that Osku's playing for the urethane.
That urethane is pushing oil down the lane, so what it's going to do is it should give him a little bit more hold. It takes the oil from the front of the lane and moves it down the lane. It disperses the oil in a different part of the lane, where Chris is using the reactive ball, and he can use that oil that Osku has moved down the lane and use it as hold and make his margin for error just that much bigger.
I mean, he's bowling more than a decent game. He's bowling a great game right now, Osku Palermo, but unfortunately, he's up against an 11-foot USA monster right now in Chris Barnes, who does not look liable to blink, ever.
And this is what we say that... Oh, Chris loving the crowd. Yeah, I mean, Tim, when you guys were playing in Europe, it must be just so nice to come and have home support for the first time in 20 years.
I mean, this is amazing. I mean, and I got to take my hats off to the European fans again, because they've shown up. They've made the trip across the pond, but it's clearly an American crowd here for sure. And Chris is delivering for that crowd. This is the best I've seen him in a while, guys.
And he's given it a full fist pump too. They love it. I bet his teammates must be so proud of him, you know.
I mean, we've been talking about Simonsen Troup for MVP, but we got to talk about this guy too, surely.
Based on the results and based on how he's bowled, I mean, I don't know how many points each player has won because I don't have those statistics, but and we get to pick an MVP when it's all said and done. But man, Chris Barnes is going to be in the talking as well. I agree with you, Guy.
Oh, I hate it. How could Team USA be here without Chris Barnes? How could they be in this spot without Chris Barnes?
I mean, and we're not only talking about the leadership that he's showing as a captain, and I know from experience it's very difficult to not only perform as the captain, but then you have to put your people, your players in place to have the most paramount success and get them comfortable where they're confident. It's a very, very demanding, difficult position, and Chris has handled it beautifully this week. I mean, beautifully.
I mean, Oscar's been knocking on the door, but I can tell you nobody's home. Chris Barnes seems unflappable.
Trips to 4.
I'll tell you what, guys, I believe 287 is the top single score we've seen in the Weber's Cup this week so far. And Barnes right now is on a potential 288.
I mean, Barnes is very fortunate there. There's a little transition there. They missed a little left in the front of the lane. And you watch the head pin come off the wall, and we call that the trip 4, because it trips the 4 pin at the last minute, and Barnes knows he's very fortunate to get the strike there. Oscar must strike in this ball to keep Barnes honest.
You could
forward.
read his mind. That was the relieved trip forward look, was it?
Yeah, and you can see him gesturing with his hands. He says he needs to move a little bit left to stay ahead of that transition.
Now, what about
no doubt about
Palermo? Does he need an adjustment? 2 frames ago, it looked a little loose.
Palermo's margin for error is a lot smaller than Osku's, or excuse me, than Barnes's. Osku's got to make a great shot here. And he does. Great shot, great answer. He's staying right with Barnes, right with him.
Now, when you're staying so close to the pocket, you're not as affected by the transition.
That's just a great shot from Osku.
It is.
Great answer.
But he's inside the teeth of 6 strikes in a row, which is what Barnes is on right now.
He's going to need some help, Jesse, from Barnes. Barnes is going to have to leave some pin here for Osku to get back in this game. And then Osku's going to have to turn right back around and throw the strike.
Yeah.
He likes it. And he should.
Man alive! Are you singing this? Are you singing this? Chris Barnes is saying, and look, Team Europe have been great, but Team USA have just been that much better when they've needed to be.
I mean, talk about twisting the dagger in your back. I mean, this guy doesn't let up.
I'll tell you what, the quality of, I'm going to mention it again, guys. The quality of bowling from both teams is just incredible. It's incredible.
How well do you have to bowl to beat Chris Barnes here? I mean,
Well, you'd have to be perfect right now because Chris has only missed once. That would mean Osku wouldn't have been able to miss at all to beat him.
I mean, that's a credit to Oscar too. Barnes was 7 strikes, and the game's not over yet.
No, it's not over yet. That's right. And he's letting him know he's still there.
I'm still here.
He's still not letting him know. Listen, Osku strikes out for 266. That would force Barnes to throw a strike in one of the next 2 shots. If Barnes should go 9 spare, 9 spare, we have a tie.
This is a crucial shot for Barnes then.
But if we had this Oscar 2 days ago,
Oh boy, who knows? He might have thrown that strike against Kyle. And listen, that's a two-point change. That means it would have been 14-12 in just that one shot alone.
But let's face it, strike here and it'll feel like the match is over.
No, not yet. That's still tight, but this certainly puts him in the driver's seat, Jesse, if he strikes here. This is the driver's seat strike. And he knew it.
I mean, he is invincible.
Knock that bad boy out of there.
So here's the scenario. Osku is in a must-strike situation, and that would force Chris to get 9 on the first ball to win.
a reversal of the game before this.
Yeah, exact reversals.
Make them earn it to me.
You got to make them show up. You can't give the free point. I like the fact that Oscar's taking a little extra time here.
Yep.
Taking the re-rack.
You know, he could feel a little hard. I know he's got a shot. He could feel a little hard done by. This is the best game we've seen him bowl in singles in the
He's been
Weber
great
Cup.
today.
Yeah.
Listen, Oscar's been great today. That's the reality of it. He's been fantastic.
This is very clever gamesmanship. You've got to just try and do anything you can. He is slowing this down to a crawl right now.
Yeah, but the problem is, you don't want it to affect your own rhythm as well, because you still got to make the shot. You can't worry about, but you still got to go out there and perform.
Yeah, I still think it's a good play.
Yeah, that's where I get concerned. Let's see if he makes the shot.
You called it to me.
Yeah, I just out of rhythm.
The dilly-dallying, he broke his rhythm.
He broke his own rhythm.
To his own detriment.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the point for Team USA. Although, if Chris Barnes will want to take this one, because if he strikes here, guys, it'll be the highest individual score in the Weber Cup so far, which that's pretty impressive.
We've had a 300 in the team. I think we've had a 288 or 289 in the doubles. And now, as the USA fans chant, Captain America. And it looks like our first 9 strikes in a row. Should he strike on this ball? Job done.
2 more. 2 more.
He knows it. The magic number is 2. Sometimes you're just too tough. Chris Barnes like shoe leather. Europe is good, but Team USA says we ain't having none of it. We are focused, we are dialed. It's Weber Cup. Just 2 matches separate USA from taking that trophy. And when can they do it?
Welcome back to Weber Cup 20 from Las Vegas. Chris Barnes steps up for the USA as he has done time and time again, taking the Americans into a 5-point lead. He's now talking to Hannah Wilkes.
Chris Barnes, that was very much a captain's performance, the highest score we've had in a singles match this week.
Well, today the lanes are playing a little bit easier and a little more user-friendly than they did yesterday for sure. And so was able to take advantage of a couple of good breaks and stop the European momentum.
2 points away now from retaining that trophy. How confident are you that you can close it out in the next couple of matches?
Well, I mean, Europe is obviously bowling really well, but we also have our 2 best players coming up next in the doubles, and then in Anthony in the singles. We're in a great situation, and 2 away with several to go. I couldn't like it more.
Team Europe have had the edge in the doubles, it's got to be said. Do you think this one might be the one where you turn it around again in that?
Well, that's certainly where our weakness has been. They've beat us up pretty good in the doubles so far, and it'll be up to our strongest pairing to turn the tide there.
What's the message to the guys ahead of this one? Because you've got Jesper Svensson and Stu Williams as well. Jesper playing really well out on this lane.
Yeah, and Stu has obviously been top-notch all the way through. But our goal every session has been to win the session in these first 6, and so now we're tied, and we're going to try and tie or do better all the way through.
2 apiece in the session so far, but 16-11 to Team USA overall. Can the Americans get to the hill? Let's head down to the lane for a pivotal doubles match. Commentary for this match comes from Chris Barnes, Guy Kaminsky and Jesse May.
How are these guys going to handle the lane right now?
Well, they're going to basically take what I did, and they're going to move a couple left off of that and use, each ball that goes down the lane takes a little off the lane. You guys have done a great job talking about it. They'll be just inside of that where they was a little fresher and basically use what I did and make it easier.
That's what we've come to expect from Kyle Troup.
I mean, the pressure really on Europe now because of the scoreboard being 16-11. If we actually break it down, we were 4-4 the first day, 6-2, then 4-3. But in the 6-2, you guys won the last 4, of which one was a roll-off, and the other one, Oscar had ball in hand to win the point. That changes that you guys are only 1 point ahead.
Yeah, every year it ends up, when you get these 4 or 5 point differences, and it all comes down to really 2 shots that flip the whole script.
Got the wiggle there for Jesper Svensson. And Chris, I know you guys had a big lead coming in today. You didn't expect Europe to roll over, but you must be impressed by the way what they've brought today, because they're all looking good today.
Well, I never expect them to roll over. This team is, whatever struggles they've had, they don't lack heart. And we didn't expect this pattern to be quite so high scoring, but the fact is it is, and everybody's bowling well, and everybody's shown up. And what we really didn't want was a lot of momentum. And so fortunately, we've been able to put a stopper on each win that they've had.
Nice 3 nice balls so far in this doubles match. These guys really know how to communicate with each other. You get the feeling that they do a lot of talking.
Yeah, they do work together well. They like to play the same parts of the lane, even though they have different axis rotations. They do see the lane fairly similarly, and they're able to communicate pretty effectively.
What's going to be the key for Stu here? Because he's obviously got his thumb in the ball. Is he going to have to go further left, or is he going to try to stay to the right and straighter?
He'll be in about the same part. He'll just have to be a little bit more up in the air through the front of the lane, or be a little nicer to push it through. He had two options there. He chose to get it down on the lane, and he's not going to grab at it as much so that it doesn't occur.
Yeah, he said actually in that match when he split, he said that was the only one he grabbed that went through the face. And unfortunately, at this level and at this scoring pace, that cost you.
Yeah, we've seen this in both doubles matches so far in this session, which is just a question of who blinks first. These guys are rolling lights out.
When you talked about it, really, the shot that Stu threw there, it stopped it from being a quick 3-0 start for Europe as well. But as well as Jesper's bowling, and Stu's got pretty good ball reaction, this is far from being done.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, what do you said you made a couple mistakes in the selection for the doubles, because on the overall, this is where your weakness has been. I mean, that's been critical, of course, but they've seemed to have an advantage over you in the doubles.
Yeah, I don't know if I made mistakes in the selections. I made mistakes myself. I missed a spare. I had a bad, shooting a bad count with one when I bowled with Jacob that cost us 12 pins, and we ended up losing by 2. And so from that standpoint, but actually, Europe's just bowled exceptionally well in the doubles, and
yeah, they just seem to find their momentum there, don't they?
I mean, because individually, you guys seem to have the one up on them, but they've got 4 of 5 doubles.
And where we've been winning a lot of the games in singles is in the back half of games. And we've struggled a little bit in the first 2 or 3 frames as a team, I guess, across the board. And so we're getting off slow starts in the doubles. That's 5 or 6 frames in before anybody starts swinging strikes.
This has been Svensson's day. I think he likes this pattern. If we go to the next pattern, I don't think anybody wants it short, do they?
Oh, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's actually, it's drawn, I think.
Except for Chris.
I think it's a draw out of the trophy. I don't believe it's a selection.
No, it's a random,
Yeah, there's no selection here. Each team has picked 2 patterns, and the last one will come out of the remaining 6, and it'll be a blind draw out of the Weber Cup itself.
And then just in the alternate, you said you guys weren't so good towards the back end. That's a huge messenger for Carl Troup. With the alternate shot and only bowling every second frame potentially, when you get to the back end, are you having to make some blind moves?
I think that's when we're at our strength. We're getting to communication, and we're throwing a lot of strikes at the end of the games. Just Europe hasn't really left us a lot of room by then. They've been ahead by a lot in a few of those matches from those mistakes in the first 4 or 5. And you talked about earlier what the difference of what they're going to do off of what I did, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to make those pins move a lot faster than I do.
My, that was a lot of action. That was no messenger. That was a linebacker. I mean, that thing was moving. Boy.
Yeah, so that's what we've been talking about, is that when it becomes a bit of a carry contest, the guy with a thumb in is a slight disadvantage. But how have you overcome that, Chris? Because you've struck more than anybody.
Get it in like that.
Well, I bowled on the fresh a lot too.
If I'm going to get it in.
The one thing about when you have your thumb in, you have a little less axis rotation. Although Stu has several tools, and he's pushing through there. I actually like that shot the best of all of them so far. But their ability to clear the front of the lane and basically eliminate that early friction on the lane, that's where the two-handers really come around. So you have to use some extra hand positions and things to get it the ball down the lane.
We are tied through 4, and Team USA, at least the crowd, they want some action.
Simonsen had a lot of angle down lane in this previous match. Did you talk about that at all? Because it didn't look like it was a high carry shot.
Yeah, we did talk about it, and he's not planning on shaping it quite as much as he did the last time. He's going to roll it into it, be a little nicer to it, a little more forward, but that's the trade-off, is you control the pocket, but you put the 5-10 in play.
Yeah, damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Flat 10 in play. That 10's got glue on its bottom the last few frames, and I guess, is that what we see when things start breaking down in this kind of pattern?
Yeah, you don't necessarily see the ball hook. It just loses energy in the front 15 feet, and then it just doesn't go through the pins as well.
Is this opportunity for Team Europe? I mean, they haven't had many look-ins for the lead. This is one of them, finally.
Is there an adjustment for Stu to do here, or just you throw it the same?
You know, he'd use a lot of touch. A lot of the two-handers will just move a couple left and make it hook more. I think Stu will probably nudge it a little bit as well and just get around it to make it come through the pins a little differently.
One thing he can't do is grab it.
Needs a field shot. And is that just experience there? Is that where you see, you know, a guy just able to do a little bit extra when he needs it?
We all have things that we go to in certain situations, things we're more comfortable with, and Stu is a great touch player.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup from the Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas.
Oh, that's the one that hurt when you get a little angle and it's too sharp. Is that because of the flat 10? He didn't want a flat 10, so the over adjustment.
You called it. You damn if you do, damn if you don't. He rolled it in front of him flat 10, so he got that one in the air and got it. You know, hit it a little harder, and then it cut through and left the 9 pin.
I'm just like great teams, and there's no question this European team's a great team. They won 5 on the trot. They're not giving this to you. I mean, you earning every single point out here.
Yeah, this first session, we may be glad that we're not going to bowl on this for all 12, because you know, there are going to be a handful. Every game is going to be a shot, I believe, between winning and losing. And
I mean, the big difference for Europe is that Jesper and Oscar have really come good for them today.
Yeah, and this is a chance for Jesper to keep it going. This will be a big dagger right now. If he...
We've seen him stop a few times today, but we need to see him put the ball down. He's not going to. Is he going to reset? Yeah, there he is.
I do kind of wonder, I mean, this is obviously still a new format with the big crowd. Are the rules of engagement for the public, are they still being worked out in a sense?
No, but it is the first time our crowd has been in this environment, and so sometimes the crowd doesn't know what they can do when they're not. Sometimes it's just a high-pressure moment, and sometimes when that happens, you get rabbit ears. You hear some things or distracted by things you wouldn't normally.
I mean, Chris, you've been on the butt of many of the European crowd over the years. I've seen you very engaging with the USA support in the crowd.
I'm loving the fact that we're on the good side of the crowd, and I have lots of friends here that are leading me a lot of these cheers. It's been... That's a great shot.
Yeah, and he roared loud too. Come on, he says. Shot. It just seems to me, Chris, I mean, I know, you know, you've had an unbelievable career. You've won about everything there is to win, including here in the Weber Cup. This one just, you seem like this one seems special to you, even with everything. Is it because it's here in the USA?
There's that, and as Guy said, you know, we are in front of our home crowd, and I'm not 25 anymore. I appreciate the fact that I'm not going to get to do some of these things forever, and because I'm not 25, I allow myself to enjoy the moment a lot more than I used to.
Simonson's been having fun as well. I'll say something. Fun is a thing that you can almost say everybody down there looks like they have it for the Weber Cup. I mean, you know, all the 4 players on both teams seem like this is something they look forward to when they come. This is great. This is what you do it for.
It's certainly one of the most intimate atmospheres with the one lane, and the crowd is closer on both sides than we normally get, and the chants and the cheers, and it's just it is a different atmosphere.
Stu's had a smile on his face every morning, even though Europe's had a tough time.
Now, there's no smiling now.
No.
Getting back to the business end, he needs to keep the pedal to the metal.
I mean, Europe is putting together a pretty awesome round right now.
He's getting stuck into your fans there, Chris. And just tell me now, Chris, in the doubles now, it's been 4 frames since Carl's bowled the ball. Do you make a move? How do you handle this now when you've had a 3 or 4 frame break?
I would expect him to move probably 2 left here from his last strike, and
This is what they call a blind adjustment, or a blind
Exactly.
ball.
It's actually an educated guess because these two guys have worked together.
That's a good guess.
When you're putting your pairings out, do you take that into consideration, how well they communicate and work together?
I did, and basically they're our strongest team, and so I set it up to where they were our last doubles match. And saving the best for last, whether we're ahead or behind, I wanted to have these guys waiting in the wings, and no doubt that they would have some of the better ball reaction of our group.
He's been pretty perfect so far this session, has Jesper Svensson. But the pressure's not going to let up. It's got to be perfect again.
Oh, that is a huge break, because that could have been a split.
All right, shake it off.
Yeah, some nines are much better than others, and that is a great nine, as it leaves them still, you know, the full miss ahead with 11 pins.
Right, going open there would have thrown this match right into the
Well, even 8 spare
netherworld.
changes it upside down, or where they have to strike out to shut out the USA.
Yeah, with the world scoring format, it's the first count plus 10. So an 8 would be 18, 7 would be 17, and so on. So that's 218 versus 207. The foundation frame, the money frames, Chris.
Yeah, here it comes, and Anthony made a little adjustment. He grabbed on the line and lofted it the next time he got in the lane smoother, and he went through the lanes
Got a bad
perfect.
shot. We got away with it.
that's on me.
Can't underestimate the importance of that right there.
2 more good shots.
Him taking the pressure off Jesper. It's okay. It's not a big deal. I got your back. Those kind of messages.
I
It's
tell you,
important.
Stu seems like the greatest teammate to have. I don't care what you're playing. Want that man on my side. Ooh, the old bogeyman.
We've seen more nines just this morning than we've seen from him the entire week.
He had more carry like we've seen before, where it seems like every scout touches it, he nudges them over. You know, with a fast or slow, they all fall, and then now he's had 4 in a row to where they where none of them fell. 2 9-pins, 2 10-pins.
But for this scoring pace, his entry angle just doesn't seem ideal for me. How can he overcome that?
He's a little too deep now. I mean, there's a couple options. He can firm up and move right, which will bring him in a little bit early hook. So I don't think he wants to do that. Left and slower, and get it freed a little sooner so it goes through the pins. He could also ball down, but I don't see him doing that.
A good shot here will really put them in a good position.
It has to be better than the last frame. Was lucky to get 9, needs all 10. These guys can't get away.
It didn't fall.
Still leaves a glimmer. Now if Anthony can strike in the 10th, assuming that Stu makes the spare. Yes,
I mean, if you were up there, we've missed 2 of these, Chris. Are you guys having a little bit of problem on the approach? We've seen a lot of people sticking for spares. This is not routine.
At this point, I would say it's more routine. Stu's been on the lane as much as anyone so far, and he has not had really any approach problems with the, except for yesterday, I guess, when he slid about 2 inches of his normal 2 feet.
Yeah. So we've seen Simonsen. I mean, he struggled just a touch here in this match. What is he thinking right now? What does he have to do? What does he have to avoid?
He's got to get the ball through the pin. So he's either going to get it up in the air or he's going to throw it slower.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, these are not the 2 players you want playing the 10th frame. They haven't had the best look at the pocket. You'd ideally like Troup and Stu up there for the 10th frame.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough. But we got into this situation last time. I had very much the same 2 shots as Anthony did, flat 10, flat 10. Now he has to throw a strike for a chance.
Look, this guy's a money player. I hope that wasn't me that took him off.
Definitely not. Such a unique environment to have people sitting in front of you. Chris, you guys aren't used to having people in your eye line.
No, some of that's eye line, and it even could be a little bit, maybe wanting to slow the pace a little bit. We've seen Stu do it several times. We have some players on our team, particularly my team, that likes to play fast.
We were talking about Oscar really trying to slow you down for your last frame, but it actually backfired because it affected his shot.
yeah, I can bowl as slow as anyone. I don't really care that much about pace. So.
That's the ball. That's the ticket!
Well, it's a very simple equation. If Europe want it, they have to come and get it.
I mean, this is a knife edge. 19 is the tie for the roll-off, and then the strike for victory.
9 spare to tie, strike to win. The equation is very simple. This is why we have the world scoring format.
Is this, I mean, if you're Jesper here, do you almost have a tendency just to throw the lights out? Can you overthrow it here?
He'll go to his wheelhouse here, and he has one of the highest rev rates of anyone on tour, and this will not be missed.
Europe absolutely have to have it.
You could have heard the pins drop!
Come on.
I mean,
Great
this
shot.
is bowling of the highest order. All you can do is don your cap and say, great bowling.
Chest-pumping victory.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it feels good to step up when you really have to, and you know, when the game's coming down to the stretch, it's about time to deliver, and I did, so it feels really good.
When you've got your opponents 2 points away from the cup and you're able to keep stopping them getting any closer, that must feel so good and give you belief that you really can do this comeback, because it's been done before.
Yeah, I mean, we got to believe and trust that we can do it, and I think the way we bowled today is like we bowled really our best, and I mean, I think it shows as well on the scoring boards today. So yeah, let's just try to get away with a couple more points and see what happens.
You're in the lead for the session, a situation that we haven't seen since earlier in the week. It's been so close, and the USA getting the momentum. Stu, great performances from you so far today. How strong are you feeling as a unit at the moment?
I mean, we're very strong. We're a great team. That's why we feel like we've got the advantage in doubles, because we've got such better communication skills. But when I was with Jesper, I mean, Jesper's just been down on confidence a little bit. But today, I mean, when we've needed him, he's shown up and shown why he's the best lefty in the world. So we just have to keep going. And yeah, Jesper's our man for this match. And if we win this one, then, you know, we can start talking about it, because we'll be 3 behind and they've still got 2 to win.
Yes, but not to pile the pressure on too much, but they do call you the Iceman, so I know you're going to keep it cool. Anthony Simonsen next for you in the singles. He's become a bit of a bogeyman for you in the Weber Cup. After that performance, how are you feeling ahead of taking him on in this lane?
No, I feel sharp. Like, I just want to get out and take him down and get another point for Europe.
Europe claw back another point in this race to 18 through Svensson and Williams. Can they string some victories together to close the gap on Team USA? Find out next time on Weber Cup 20.